My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California. Notice: intellectual property theft is particularly egregious and equally unlawful where the sole inventor and creator of the intellectual property is the targeted individual. Erica Lorraine Spencer, subject to the unconstitutional and inhumane government system of gang stalking, otherwise referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices, because of which the intellectual property created by the targeted individual, who is, in fact, Erica Lorraine Spencer, as the intellectual property also proves, serves to establish via evidence and expose the existence of criminal surveillance and thus an inherent threat posed by the U.S. government and the civilian population sharing engagement in the unlawful system. Such evidence, that includes all of the content created by Erica Lorraine Spencer, images, videos, audio, etc., belongs solely and entirely to Erica Lorraine Spencer only and is necessarily published online in order to protect her life, safety, and liberty as the targeted individual, who is also the intellectual property owner, no less protected from theft procured through targeting by a public entity. Theft of any intellectual property belonging to Erica Lorraine Spencer, which is necessarily committed while she, being both creator and inventor, remains oppressed by the public entity via criminal surveillance, is a criminal and inhumane means of infringement under all circumstances and not protected nor enforceable pursuant to any invalid or fraudulent acts of copyright, trademarks, patents, etc., including as it pertains to any ideas associated with or generated from the intellectual property or the intellectual property owner, Erica Lorraine Spencer, whether creative, business, or otherwise, nor does the intellectual property owner consent to any such means of infringement and theft. Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state.
For a bus?
This is L. Edwards, who's going to prison. He's under the 9:04 a.m. fake sun. During daylight savings time, he's kidnapping on July 4, 2025 at 7:15 a.m. at Starbucks. This is harassment while they're monitoring on a device, speaking to what is happening, which is federal prison for him, and the demons kidnapping with him at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. This is the fake sun that's present as of 7 in the morning, by the way. And he's engaging in what is bearing weapons, prison. Engaging what is using a police vehicle, engaging what is criminal monitoring with the people of the state who are engaging in monitoring together. Doing so where the airport and this same agency is stalking by the fire department. CAL FIRE is gang stalking with Ontario police. And also doing so while they're stalking by helicopter, routinely documented. This is the same demon gang stalking at the Starbucks at 706 West Holt Boulevard on then July 5th, 2025. This is P.O.C. And this is exactly what D. Rodriguez is engaging in, harassment while I'm on the sidewalk, engaging in what is lawful conduct. With the people of the state who are going to federal prison with the Ontario police, engaging what is gang stalking together. Remember, the entity has the fake sun over me while I'm at what is BETHEL congregation yesterday, while I'm walking down this street, and this same population is engaging in the pattern of conduct while this agency is stalking my helicopter. L. Edwards is going to prison. So is A. Quesada and Alex Escobar. Very heavily documented on what is in Ontario stalking under a fake sun. And this is, again, the desperation of the demons that are going to federal prison.
Do you need any medical help?
This is P.O.C. This is criminal defamation. This is what Tracy Banks is doing under the fake sun with the same agency that's pacing under a light source, speaking to a population sharing in that P.O.C. These are the light slingers, referring to medication that they are going to be routinely taking when they're sitting in prison. It's audible activity. It engineer light. This is P.O.C. This is an engineer light. This is the entity that all of this unsolicited monologue with regard to what is audible activity. L. Edwards is already going to prison. And this is a demon that's engaging in that while I'm taking screenshots. You'll look at the timestamps. And they're engaging in what is while he's coming up and I'm sitting on the bus bench. This is a demon that's engaging what is a failed tactic regarding what is criminal defamation, and they're going to prison. He's doing so while I'm capturing screenshots regarding what is federal prison for the people of the state. They're going to federal prison. Vehicle 1067. This is massive gang stalking where the fake sun is setting here at 6:45 in the evening. L. Edwards is going to federal prison for the mental illness that he shares with PURALUS. Demons stalking under a fake sun. Demons that are obsessed with my vagina. Demons that are engaging in surveillance using things like helicopters, exhibiting severe mental instability while they're engaging in criminal conduct and wearing police uniforms. L. Edwards is a maniacal psychopath. He's going to prison. That was just the entity engaging what is gang stalking while they're fearful of what is coming, which is prison and martial law. 1644204, vehicle 1067. It is currently 9:07 a.m. That will be 10:07 a.m. while he is engaged in kidnapping right here at the Starbucks prison. And so are the people of the state. And it doesn't change while he comes and engages in what is an iteration of the pattern of conduct. Sitting at the bus stop is no basis for what is approaching. He's approaching while he's engaging in what is the criminal P.O.C. with the people of the state. The demons that are stalking with impossible light activity, exhibiting severe mental instability and the need for medication. Them and their demon-possessed children who are going to be deported out of the country for engaging in criminal surveillance with the Ontario police, who have zero legitimacy whatsoever. That was a documented act of desperation, which is putting Tracy Banks in prison. Okay, she's gang stalking at this bus stop, which is at 8:45 in the morning. I'm sitting, it's 9:08 a.m. and the fake sun is remaining over me on this same street as I'm documenting, where it doesn't go anywhere. Well, they're all sharing in that criminal pattern of conduct, that ritualistic system of worshiping me and then failing at what is defaming the person that you're worshiping, you're stalking as a whole demon-infected population. That's not going to defame anyone. In fact, it's going to put those terrorists out of the country. It's going to put them in prison, including the gang stalkers of Omnitrans who are engaging in that pattern of conduct with the city of Ontario. Okay? This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:08 a.m. That's, again, L. Edwards. He's gang stalking at Starbucks at 706 West Holt and at 507 North Euclid Avenue. Engaging in that while you are fearful because of what I've documented is exactly why Mike LORENZ is going to prison. The entity's failed response with regard to, instead of stopping engaging in terrorism once they were caught, they engaged in more terrorism, and they did so with the demon-possessed people of the state. The immigrant gang stalking Balbier and Harry and German at Chevron are under a fake sun in the morning, afternoon, and in the evening. They're being deported for gang stalking with the Ontario police. The gang stalkers of ARCO under the fake sun in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening, engaging in what is audible activity, which is under no circumstances bearing poorly on the targeted individual. These are failed tactics where you have a body of evidence of that agency stalking me by helicopters while they want to appear as though they're engaging in law enforcement, and you're not, using your helicopters and your police vehicles to follow me around and keep my vagina under surveillance. That's the reality of what the demon-possessed are engaging in. Light slingers, feces eaters, that engage in violence on behalf of L. Edwards. L. Edwards is going to prison. And they engage in gang stalking right now, just like they are when they're engaging in violence, stalking in helicopters, and then approaching and asking questions that you know the answer to. And the answer is federal prison and martial law. This is P.O.C. Jason Fields is going to prison for targeting with the Ontario Police Department. That's P.O.C. It is currently 9:09 a.m. at 537 North Euclid Avenue, where I'm documenting the fake sun that remains right here. At 10:40, where I'm inside of this venue right here in the Ontario International Airport, is stalking while this fake sun is outside of this doorway right here at 10:40 a.m. That's not the natural environment. Speaking to what is the malice behind an audible activity means of creating, which what L. Edwards is creating what is a federal case to prosecute him for failed, albeit criminal, defamation. Okay? Do you need medication? That's audible activity of a monitoring demon, conspiring murder with a population. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:10 a.m. It's currently, as you can see, 9:40 a.m. This is a screen recording to go over the entity that's already conceded that they are engaging in what is a criminal system that they never planned. It was never part of the plan for demons to be exposed and for criminal stalking by a demon-possessed population and demon-infected government to be exposed. And so with that exposure, the entity is engaging in what is an ongoing concession, including while they are stalking, and I document it, and they are already waiting on what is the impending doom, which is federal prison and mental examinations with regard to what is being subject to commitment, the demon-possessed that are engaged in this P.O.C. So that's the significance of this video that I'm going to capture. And I want to recall the audible activity of the mentally ill that are engaging in this criminal system and the evidence that surrounds them and the entity that is very delusional with regard to what is their impending demise, that the world's going to witness, but you're also going to witness their demise with regard to me prosecuting the government that is filled with the demon-possessed. And that's what this entity that's engaging in gang stalking this morning at 9:04 a.m. is engaging in while they're engaged in what is an act of fear. The mentally ill who engage in what are criminal acts pursuant to their fear is the mentally ill population that is in need of martial law. Okay? This is P.O.C.
For a bus?
This is L. Edwards, who's going to prison. He's under the 9:04 a.m. fake sun during daylight savings time. This is 537 North Euclid Avenue at the F Street and Euclid Avenue intersection, where, just as a reminder before you get into, this is where the fake sun was rising at 7:05 a.m. So with this evidence of being, number one, a demon that's in a uniform, this is all legally significant. He's going to prison. He also committed kidnapping as an agency, and the people of the state are engaging in criminal monitoring during the course of the video. This is speaking to what are demons such as Omnitrans employees, the gang stalkers aboard Omnitrans buses, the people of the state that are engaging in gang stalking via pedestrian traffic and on the roads and the highways, like in this video. They're subject to prison for targeting with this agency. That's all relevant while the entity is engaging in this under what is a fake sun that's in the background, and you're listening to everything that he's stating while he is speaking as a state, failing in what is a tactic regarding criminal defamation. He's going to prison for it. Okay, this is P.O.C. This is an absolute psychopath. This is a feces eater engaging in the pattern of conduct with all the feces eater who are stalking in traffic. They're all feces eaters, all of them. And they're engaging in what is the pattern of conduct while they are exposed as the mentally ill stalkers who under no circumstances will never engage in what is defaming another person when they cannot speak in any derogatory term regarding even a dirty toilet seat, which is their Looney Tune minds, while they are stalking as a demon-possessed population that's obsessed with me and my vagina, including L. Edwards and the people of the state stalking on Euclid Avenue, which includes Cintas in the background, and it includes Cal Fire in the background, while the demon-possessed are gang stalking me. That's what you're paying attention to. This is L. Edwards, who's going to prison. He's under the 9:04 a.m. fake sun during daylight savings time. He's kidnapping on July 4, 2025 at 7:15 a.m. at Starbucks. This is harassment while they're monitoring on a device, speaking to what is happening, which is federal prison for him, and the demons kidnapping with him at Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue. This is the fake sun that's present as of 7 in the morning, by the way. And he's engaging in what is... That's getting to his mental illness. He's there stalking and is engaging in what is stalking wearing a uniform, engaging in what is criminal summoning, and this is what the ordinary target individual is threatened by, he's going to federal prison for his failed tactics, which is in concert with the people of the state who are also going to federal prison and mental asylums.
Bearing weapons, prison. Engaging what is using a police vehicle, engaging what is criminal monitoring with the people of the state who are engaging in monitoring together. Doing so where the airport and this same agency is stalking by the fire department. CAL FIRE is gang stalking with Ontario Police.
Pay attention to that. CAL FIRE is heavily gang stalking me in Hesperia. CAL FIRE, these are demons that engage in very heavily documented tactics regarding what is not actual retaliation because you're going to prison for what I'm documenting. You're not engaging in anything in secret, and they are a terrorist organization, not firefighters, and they're engaged in what is vagina monitoring at the Holiday Inn in Hesperia, California, where the entity was rising and setting a fake sun that L. Edwards is stalking me under. This is targeting, and it's very foolish with regard to being documented. This is what the mentally ill don't understand. While they're engaging what is documented light slinging, documented gargoyle conduct, documented stalking and obsession with planes and helicopters, and then you stand in front of me under what is a fake sun, and you refer to somebody else's mental illness while you're projecting, and you're going into a mental asylum for it.
And also doing so while they're stalking by helicopter, routinely documented. This is the same demon gang stalking at the Starbucks at 706 West Hope Boulevard on then July 5th, 2025. This is P.O.C. And this is exactly what D. Rodriguez is engaging in, harassment while I'm on the sidewalk, engaging in what is lawful conduct with the people of the state who are going to federal prison with the Ontario.
Exactly. This is all stalking together. They're all stalking me together. They're all engaged in what is worshiping and obsessing over me together. The demon-possessed are hostile because their obsession, their worship of me and my vagina is public information. And they're also going to federal prison, which is also public information. Every gang-stalking politician, every gang-stalking terrorist leader that wants to call themselves a police chief, like the sex offender Mike Lorenz, it's all public information regarding their mental illness, their demon possession, and their criminal system that I've exposed. And L. Edwards is going to federal prison for engaging in that today, and doing so on behalf of demons like Jason Fields, whose mental illness is also exposed, him and his sex partner Tracy Banks, who are both going to prison.
Police engaging what is gang stalking together. Remember, the entity has the fake sun over me while I'm at what is Bethel congregation yesterday, while I'm walking down this street, and this same population is engaging in the pattern of conduct while this agency is stalking my helicopter. L. Edwards is going to prison. So is A. Quesada and Alex Escobar. Very heavily documented on what is in Ontario stalking under a fake sun. And this is, again, the desperation of the demons that are going to federal prison.
You need any medical help?
This is P.O.C. This is criminal defamation. This is what Tracy Banks is doing under the fake sun with the same agency.
All right, criminal defamation is relevant to the entity that is failing, okay? Their mental illness is right in front of your face. This is a fake sun. This is Chevron, just so that you know where we're at, because this is where the entity is engaging in what is that pattern of conduct as a desperate entity that is demon-possessed. The fake sun is over me at this same exact location where L. Edwards is stalking, being both a criminal gang stalker wearing a police uniform is the evidence of conspiracy to commit murder via criminal defamation, and everything coming out of this mentally ill psychopath's face is relevant to that failed, albeit remaining criminal, ongoing conspiracy, which this agency is still engaging in with an intent to obstruct justice because of what it is that I'm capturing in screenshots, which is exactly what's going to happen. It's foretelling what is federal prison for the people of the state. That's exactly where they're going for gang stalking with this agency, including this agency that are, again, desperate demons under a fake sun that's over me at this same Chevron at 2:46 p.m., like I documented yesterday, where he is speaking to what is intentional defamatory speech, which bears no reflection on the American citizen that they are stalking together as an agency, where, by the way, the airport is stalking with this agency. L. Edwards is going to be subject to routine mental examination. So is, like I stated, Alex Escobar and A. Quesada. That's speaking to the agency, the demons that are engaging in a very heavily documented pattern. And I also want to go ahead and remind you about the demons that are engaging in this as an agency, and they're all going to prison. Okay, that includes these demons that are engaging in gang violence with the people of the state. And they are all of the same condition. They're demons and they're severely mentally ill, and that is no longer a closeted mental illness. And to engage in what is audible activity while you are stalking, like L. Edwards is, and doing so while wearing a uniform, bearing weapons, facilitating gang violence with the people. This is federal prison, and the people of the state are going to prison as well.
That's the malice regarding the desperation of the light slingers themselves, who are stalking on the roads and the highways while stalking me with impossible light, which is relevant to their obsession with me, their obsession with my vagina, and the mental illness that is shared by their demon-possessed children who are terrorists as well. And this is speaking to the necessity, the urgency, how imperative deportation is, and martial law. This is P.O.C. This is where the entity is indeed stalking. And that's the mental illness that is shared by L. Edwards. Psychopath sharing in criminal activity. And L. Edwards, the entity that's engaging what is defaming the character of American citizens, are the demons that are going to mental asylums. This is P.O.C. This is the fake sun that's over me at 2:46 p.m. These are the population that's being deported. This is the population that's in need of martial law. This is the population that's engaging in lawlessness. And they're engaging in what is stalking, doing so in a readily identifiable manner. And they do so while they are hostile. L. Edwards stood right here engaging with his criminal conduct, for which Mike Lorenz is going to federal prison. And so are the people of the state. License 34580Y3, sharing and targeting with the Ontario Police Department. And the entity does so with the immigrant population who share in this disdain for this country. They murder people, kidnap them, and defame them, put them in facilities. That's what's relevant regarding the malicious audible activity of a mentally ill person such as L. Edwards, and 60624G2, sharing in that mental illness while they're stalking under things like a fake sun as a population. This is P.O.C. It's 9:50 a.m. at 537 North Euclid Avenue. Those demons are going to prison, including L. Edwards that stood right here, and the demons of Starbucks that engaged in kidnapping with him. They're going to federal prison. P.O.C. Yeah, these are the light slingers that are obsessed and stalking. Doing so with the Ontario Police. I just captured that video, and this is the entity. L. Edwards is going to prison. That's called malice regarding the audible activity while he's targeting. And that's the entity that has no legitimacy. The entity is engaging in this with the people of the state. That's what Eversoft is engaging in, not coincidentally with the demons of that agency stalking by helicopter and by planes, pursuant to a pattern of conduct, under a fake sun that's still over me at 2:46 p.m. like I showed you in the previous video. This is relevant to what is deportation. Deportation of your family, deportation of your children. They are speaking to what are a threat to the country while they're engaging in the pattern of conduct in furtherance of murder with the, as the corruption of the city of Ontario reveals how that system operates. And they are the mentally ill that are projecting their illnesses onto other people. Their children are mentally ill. Their entire families are mentally ill. This is the demon possessed that are gang stalking, and they've been engaged in this pattern of conduct while they're stalking with the Ontario International Airport over a whole population of demons that have been since 7:05 a.m. This is speaking to all of them stalking me together. This is the mentally ill population who fail in trying to make anybody look bad or crazy. They are the crazy ones, and they're going to be put in facilities and prisons where they cannot engage in targeting other people, like the Eversoft. This business 34580Y3 are engaging in, and this is the entity that's engaging in that as one. This is what L. Edwards' purpose is, and he's going to prison for that. That's not a police department, and since it doesn't have anything else to do, I've caught it engaging in what is targeting that entire agency, and their mentally ill conduct is a threat to the public while they share in it with the people of the state. Walking in engineer light is mentally ill behavior. Walking under the fake sun is malicious criminal conduct and mentally ill behavior that is shared by a population of demons that keep my vagina under surveillance with L. Edwards, and demons like those of Eversoft, who are gang stalking companies, Chevron, ARCO, etc. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:55 a.m. L. Edwards is indeed going to prison, and so are the sex offenders inside of Starbucks, where the sun would not still be over the same street where they committed kidnapping on video with that agency targeting me in doing so. P.O.C. Alrighty, this is Ocean. Her license 22155N3. She is still with the city of Ontario. She's going to prison. She's engaged in kidnapping with L. Edwards, who's gang stalking me this morning on this same street, Euclid Avenue. She's doing so at 7:15 in the morning during daylight savings time. It's currently 10:04 a.m. During daylight savings time, that will be 11:04, where I have also already surrounded Ocean and every demon like Amelia, Patty, the mentally ill stalking with light at Starbucks, as I documented, like that is impossible light moving across the car. 60 LG 154 is targeting me with Ocean, who's in relevant position inside of the Starbucks. I'm prosecuting Starbucks, and I'm prosecuting
prosecuting Ocean, who's going to prison. The Ontario police are stalking by helicopter, and she's monitoring a relevant position. UPS is gang stalking by engaging what is the pattern of conduct through the corrupt use of that business, that vehicle. This is in images while their Ocean is targeting me. While she engaged in what is kidnapping, she's going to federal prison. And her co-defendant, L. Edwards, lacking in self-control and clearly lacking in what is any informed methods of targeting, where their shared mental illness is on full display, where this fake son is over me at 2:46 p.m. yesterday. That's the Chevron, where again, Ocean's criminal monitoring on July 4th is put on full display. Ocean's going to prison. Okay, license 9 PPA 193. License 7YSF 737. I'm going to civilly and criminally prosecute also Starbucks for making money from conspiring my murder. That's what the demon-possessed light slingers represent in the drive-thru of a gang stalking business like Starbucks, where the fake sun is evident through the drive-thru window, which is impossible. Audible light activity, excuse me. There's no sun that's going to be that low. There's no sun that's going to reach through that drive-thru window, like I documented after 7 p.m., where Ocean is again going to federal prison based on the pattern of conduct. Doing so with the gang stalkers of the Ontario International Airport that has there's no takeoffs, and this isn't even a flight. It's a cartwheel with regard to stalking. This is the mental illness shared behind the audible activity of L. Edwards. Do you need any medication? No, but Ocean does. And so does 7YSF 737. So does 9TMS 937. So does the demon gang stalking, license 5VOG 870. I believe that's the very mentally ill Patty. Her severe mental illness is all over the internet with regard to my publishing, stalking with light, mentally ill behavior, while you're serving coffee from the beginning to the end of your shift under a fake sun. Their need for medication is clear. And so is the entity that's gang stalking under what is the direct evidence of that. This is public corruption that Starbucks is engaging in, and they're doing so with the people of the state in their drive-thru with their communication devices, engaging in that pattern of conduct, sharing in mental illness, sharing in corruption, sharing in conspiracy to murder with the airport, with that agency, and they're all demons. This is P.O.C. L. Edwards is targeting with the people of the state while I'm at that bus stop at 537 North Euclid Avenue, and the fake sun remains over me as I walk on this same street. This is the same state of affairs at 2:46 p.m. where your need for medication is clear, and medical professionals are going to deal with that, and they're also going to prison. Okay, this is the pattern of conduct. License 10778K1, criminal presence in the path on behalf of the Ontario Police. Mental illness while impossible light moves across. The need for medication is obvious thereby. 9FCM060. And Ocean is monitoring to all of it. Ocean's going to prison. Like I stated, Ocean, Amelia, Patty, that engaged in kidnapping, and they do so as a corporation. This is why Jay Chu and Rodriguez are going to prison regarding gang stalking at Starbucks at 111 North Vineyard Avenue. This is why L. Edwards and A. Quesada are going to prison regarding gang stalking at 706 West Holt Boulevard, where the entity is engaging what is documentation, keeping a fake sun. This is why Jason Reed is identified as a terrorist leader, while the fake sun's remaining over me at Starbucks in Montclair, California, which is not shared with anything that's happening here. But it's the pattern of conduct, however. That's the consistency of that inconsistent environment where you're stalking. And Starbucks is a stalker, okay? They need severe medication while they center criminal activity around coffee cups. And what they're actually doing is worshiping my vagina, all right? That's a matter of what is martial law. P.O.C., it's 10:08 a.m.
All right, the mentally ill population engaged in what is gang stalking with the City of Ontario, the Mentally Ill Ontario Police Department. Their mental illness is proven through the criminal pattern of conduct that they share, and it is indistinguishable from the pattern of conduct that the people of the state are engaging in. This is a population of demons who are stalking together. They're stalking in a readily identifiable environment. They are stalking pursuant to a demented behavioral pattern that they share, while they are obsessively engaging in what is surveillance in furtherance of murder as that identical population that is mentally ill, okay? Very psychopathic, very sexually perverted, very obsessed and delusional. This is relevant to their children that share the criminal pattern of conduct. They share in mental illness. They share in delusional behaviors, including while they are under the age of majority, including while they are, for example, socially and emotionally immature. They share in the identical demonic behavioral pattern. The demon-possessed children are engaging in the pattern of conduct, and it is a threat while the government is gang stalking with minors under the age of majority, engaging what is the delinquency, the contribution to their delinquency, while they are terrorists all the same. And the entity is engaging in what is using their children as a part of that pattern of conduct while you are ignorant of demon possession, you're ignorant of gang stalking, you're ignorant of criminal surveillance, and they are relying on that ignorance and also the appearance of what are
the appearance of minors with regard to your associating innocence with that. And it is malice, actually. It's the picture of malice. The entity is engaged in this pattern of conduct on behalf of the state, and the entity is doing so as you are listening to the audible activity of L. Edwards, who's going to prison. This is a demon. This is also a psychopath, a delusional psychopath who is surrounded with evidence, and he's not surrounded by himself. He's surrounded, and so are the people of the state that are literally engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct while he stands there maintaining what is audible activity. The substance of it is defamatory, and they speak as one. These are demons that are altogether obsessed with my vagina. Their mental illness is exhibited while their obsession with my genitalia is a proven fact regarding their criminal conduct, their obsession with me. Their mental illness and that malicious audible activity is relevant to mental illness that the demon possessed actually suffer from. This is speaking to the failed system of gang stalking, which should never result in any American citizen being defamed. Clearly not me, but I am speaking on and advocating on behalf of the ordinary target individual who should never, based on logic and the operation of the law, the practice of law and the practice of medicine, where the entities engaging in surveillance as well, there is no iteration of this psychopathic pattern of conduct by the mentally ill at that should ever result in what it is an American citizen being defamed, contrary to what this corrupt system has produced, which is injustice, which is criminal and corrupt system, a criminal and corrupt system maintaining what is oppression, while the demon-possessed themselves, the mentally ill, actually are engaging in what is conduct, which is exposing how demented and how much of a threat that they are as a population and individually, while they are walking around lacking the adequate labels regarding their criminal engagement, their predisposition to violence and terrorism, and that which they represent with regard to, for example, the status of immigrants in need of deportation, sex offenders in need of prosecution and appropriate labeling and identification, so that they don't maintain any level of secrecy ever again. And remember, sex offenders are not merely individuals. Sex offenders are a community. Sex offenders are companies and corporations. Sex offenders are entities. Okay, where this demonic pattern of conduct is underway, and that's what the City of Ontario have demonstrated while I have been prosecuting. They are walking in conformity to what it is that I have exposed about them, and they are doing so because the P.O.C. is literally not only a prosecution that you're witnessing, it's the exposure of demon possession, which you are aware of is a threat to the safety of other people that are ignorant about demon possession, ignorant about the predisposition to violence and criminal activity and corruption, based on demon possession that the government is riddled with, and this corrupt system that this government is maintaining. The entity that's engaging in this criminal pattern of conduct, the entity that is of this condition, is going to be both mentally assessed and criminally prosecuted. And it includes those that are inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. Remember, I come to 215 East C Street, the OVITT Family Community Library, and I documented it on video. And the entity is gang stalking with children, gang stalking with immigrants, showing you their hostility toward this country. There's no coincidence under the fake sun that's over the same entrance as I arrived this morning after 10 a.m. And you're mindful of the fact that I arrived after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you're looking at the same fake sun that's over me, speaking to mental illness that Alexander is suffering from while he is inflicting ongoing harassment, psychological torture, keeping a woman's vagina under surveillance, engaging in what is a whole system regarding that obsession, that criminal stalking, while the demon-possessed fill the library, and they are all engaging in what is pacing all around me, stalking and harassing, while they are going, for example, Alexander's mental illness is exhibited while he is engaging in what is gang stalking by pacing in and out of an administration door where he works, and where he's also gang stalking in furtherance of murder. And Alexander is going to be prosecuted and mentally assessed for that. He's doing it on behalf of the agency that's under the fake sun during the 9 a.m. hour. And the audible activity coming out of that demon's mouth, Edwards in particular, is speaking to a shared mental illness with Alexander, one of many demons who are going to be federally prosecuted for the conspiracy to murder someone who was documenting it, and that did not stop Alexander from engaging in ongoing documented terrorism, sexual violence, and the conspiracy to murder that person that he is and that they are gang stalking together. And Alexander is going to be prosecuted accordingly. If Alexander were an immigrant, he would be deported, and everybody that's related to him that is of that status is subject to deportation. Fortunately, everybody that Alexander is gang stalking with is also relevant with regard to that immigrant population who are going to be nonetheless subject to deportation. This is speaking to it and establishing what is the unprecedented grounds for martial law. The lawlessness of Alexander, the mental illness of Alexander, the ongoing criminal activity of Alexander, the criminal facilitation that is created and engaged in by Alexander. Alexander, whose mental illness is a threat to the public, okay? Alexander represents an entity that is absurdly psychopathic and deranged with regard to criminal activity that the demon-possessed that make up Alexander and everybody else, for example, at the OVITT Family Community Library, under a fake sun where they have a whole entire fake existence, okay? That fake existence is present for the criminal purposes of the entirety of the city of Ontario. The mentally ill that are living with regard to what is a delusional existence while they're engaging in gang stalking, and they're doing so with regard to what is going to be the inevitable prosecution of the federal government. Demons, predators like Jason Fields, who required and solicited the gang violence of Tracy Banks in the city of Ontario, if you will, in order to profit from my demise. He's not profiting from it. He's going to prison for every dollar and every piece of property that he has stolen, all right? While this entity that is full of the intellectually impotent, they are nothing other than psychopathic and obsessed and delusional. They're not intelligent at all. They're certainly not wise. They certainly lack in strategy, because all of the mentally ill are going to be in court, right, regarding what is a prosecution and the publicly exposed and failed corrupt system of federal group stalking and monitoring, which was designed to result in the murder of an American citizen, and that is myself. There will be no such ending. The entity has sacrificed itself, sacrificed its freedom, sacrificed its ability to walk around with closeted mental illness that nobody knows about. That is no more either, and the entity is going to be subject to what is a comprehensive prosecution. And this is also, again, relevant to what is necessitating martial law. That's what you're getting when an entity is stalking under a fake sun at a library like OVITT Family Community Library, and demons like Alexander. That mental illness is going unchecked, okay? That's a matter of national security. The entity is engaging in this criminal activity while they are doing so as a population that's freely engaging in what is public corruption, that is threatening American citizens. That's what the OVITT Family Community Library represents. While they provide a forum, they provide a crime scene where immigrants are sharing in what is hatred for this country, criminal activity with a corrupt government, so psychopathic that they're stalking me in helicopters and police vehicles and fire trucks. That is what is going to be removed from the ability to threaten American citizens, and for it to be engaged in any measure of this pattern of conduct and it be kept as a secret. That's never going to happen again. Ever, okay? This is the entity that is gang stalking. I'm going to recite license plates while they're under a fake sun that is sitting over the OVITT Family Community Library, where mental illness is fully exposed while all they're doing is stalking as a population inside of the building on behalf of the government. And the people of the state, like I stated, are going to prison. All right, that's the bottom line. They engage in battery like this entity engaged in on, I believe that is Friday night. This entity that's engaged in what Alexander is doing is under no circumstances protected or any small thing. Alexander is a threat to the public. Alexander committed battery as an entity on Friday night, and then with that same agency that arrives pursuant to criminal summoning. That criminal system is what is necessitating martial law. Okay, and the threat that Alexander poses to the public, the threat that that agency, gang stalking via Alexander together, is what is going to be systematically and comprehensively broken down, prosecuted, in order to disincentivize such terrorism throughout this country. All right, that's very much a threat to the public, while that mental illness is walking around amongst a population that wants to be taken seriously. It's not a police department. It's not an airport. It's not a collection of free citizens. They're all engaging in what is conduct as an entity, a mentally ill and deranged entity that is demon possessed. Okay, this is P.O.C, and it is currently 12:20, where the entity is engaged in gang stalking inside of the OVITT Family Community Library, and this is documentation regarding the license plates, as I am maintaining my own evidence, but it's speaking to what is an entity that is acting. Every license plate represents the entity. The entity is stalking all night long, stalking with impossible light, and then stalking with impossible light is executed while they are under a fake sun, stalking as a population, a mentally ill population. The children that they give birth to to are a threat to the country. The entity that is gang stalking as a population, as a business, as a neighborhood, as a city, for example, is a threat to the public, okay? And that's what's reflected with regard to every license plate that I'm reciting. All right, license 97240A4. Under the fake sun at 7:05 a.m., where L. Edwards is gang stalking with this same population of the demon-possessed who are mentally ill and have utilized and failed at convincing anybody that they're anything other than the feces eaters that are stalking with light, the gargoyles that are obsessed with my vagina, obsessed with stalking me day and night, and then engaging in what is merely criminal defamation. You are mentally ill, and that's never going to result in anything other than identifying who are, in fact, the mentally ill population. Nonetheless, this is what the entity attempted to engage in, and L. Edwards and the people of the state are subject to prison for it. This is the entity that is embarrassed by its mental illness being made public, and that is not new. Everyone already knows that the demon-possessed are stalking and are obsessed with me, and they're still doing it while the world is aware of it, and they're still doing it until the day that martial law is enforced, until the day that they're tackled to the ground, until the day that they're raided like the upright cockroaches that they are, who are mentally ill, very mentally ill. Engaging in criminal defamation doesn't change that, but that's literally the tactic of the gang members themselves. Right? That's why you have what is the P.O.C. and the prosecution of that entity. License 6 Jerry Zebra Frank 154. Ontario Police stalking under the 9:04 a.m. fake sun at the same bus stop where I'm capturing a population worshiping me, stalking me, a population of the mentally ill. License 1644204, vehicle 1067. And this is all relevant to the criminal pattern of conduct that Mike Lorenz is going to be federally prosecuted for, who is also mentally ill, while that population makes up what is a corrupt agency that is actually exposed as an enemy, a domestic enemy of the country, while they're engaging in criminal surveillance outside of the authority of the state and federal constitutions, outside of any consent of American citizens. And the demon-possessed people of the state do not count. They are the entity whose consent is unlawful while they're gang stalking with that agency, a terrorist organization. All right, they cannot consent for the American people to maintain criminal surveillance, keep them under surveillance, murder them while they are targeting them with that government. This is the mentally ill that are stalking, however, under that fake sun. That is, again, L. Edwards, bearing license 1644204 and vehicle 1067, sharing in that criminal pattern of conduct with the population who are mentally ill as well. P.O.C. License plate 46134 Edward 3. And Eversoft is a gang stalking company. Again, gang stalking companies that are sex offenders. This is what Eversoft is while they're engaging in gang stalking with the terrorist organization, the Ontario Police, under the fake sun, and using what is the corrupt business practices of this third party while the entity is stalking by helicopter, and doing so under the fake sun at what is 9:51 a.m. at the same location, 537 North Euclid Avenue. The entity is engaging what is keeping the fake sun over this same venue as I'm documenting on video at 2:46 p.m. while that fake sun is over the same location. It's showing that Eversoft, the company, is a terrorist and an enemy of the United States, engaging what is both making money and criminally surveilling American citizens in furtherance of murdering them, while engaging in that tag team demonic and criminal and corrupt conduct with the Ontario Police Department via helicopter. All right, and you're looking at the same analysis regarding the OVITT Family Community Library while they are exhibiting severe mental illness in that criminal pattern of conduct, and they are subject to federal prison just like any other third party and or state actor. Okay, Eversoft license plate 36580Y3. This is a male that's operating this vehicle that's doing so under the fake sun. Engaging what is a delivery under the fake sun is the P.O.C, and it's the outward demonstration of mental illness. Just like driving under the fake sun, stalking in planes and helicopters under the fake sun, maintaining a business, serving coffee, pumping up your gas, engaging in what is being a pedestrian under the fake sun, they're doing so with regard to that malicious pattern of conduct, and that's the mentally ill. Okay, the mentally ill is dressed up regarding what is the Eversoft gang stalking company engaging in what is targeting with the terrorists of the Ontario Police Department. That is again license 36580Y3, and this is relevant regarding what is deportation, uniform deportation, and the necessity of martial law. License 8 Kelly Nancy 198. License 9 Robert Paul David 653. License 9 Sam Frank Apple 395. License 40757 Xavier 2. This is UPS gang stalking me with the Ontario International Airport and the Ontario Police Department using the vehicles to engage in what is demonic, stalking with light activity, targeting me as a company in furtherance of murdering me, also using the commercial planes of UPS to engage in that same criminal pattern of conduct. And UPS is a domestic enemy conspiring murder and targeting American citizens, for example, in Kentucky as well, while UPS is in California under a fake sun, exhibiting mental illness by the operators of such UPS vehicles, engaging in that pattern of conduct while UPS is exposing itself as an enemy of the United States, targeting an American citizen that it knows is also documenting it. And that's notable. It's informative because you need to know that UPS is anti-American. While they are targeting me and gang stalking me, that is shared with regard to what is the sentiments regarding all American citizens, that it is criminally keeping under surveillance. License plate 8 Xavier David Xavier 556. 9 Larry Indiana Jerry 123. License plate 8 Jerry Paul David 883. License 7 Victor Yolanda Thomas 374. License, I have that one already. License 9 Thomas Henry Nancy 224. License 9 Paul Apple 193. This is, again, the entity that is stalking at Starbucks where the sun is not over the OVITT Family Community Library, where the demons are engaging in what is severe mental illness that they're going to be treated for upon conspiring the murder of an American citizen and is documenting them, terrorizing them. These are the demons of the OVITT Family Community Library competing with the fake sun that's over Starbucks at 507 North Euclid Avenue, while it's also over Starbucks while Starbucks is engaging in kidnapping during daylight savings time with L. Edwards at 7:15 in the morning. This is the entity that's gang stalking at the OVITT Family Community Library. That's getting to what is very specific targeting by the demons inside of the library, by the demons at the Starbucks, including Ocean, license 22155N3. Okay, license. Looks like, let's see. Five Victor 0 George 870. License 7Y 7 Yolanda Sam Frank 737. License. The Ontario International Airport is stalking while the fake sun is not over the OVITT Family Community Library at 10 a.m. And Starbucks is stalking, and so is the entire city of Ontario, while the airport is targeting where the fake sun is showing who everyone is targeting, just as is the case of the demon-possessed inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. Okay, they engage in harassment while they pace in and out of doorways, stalking with noise. The entity is going to be assessed regarding what is amplified audible activity, light activity, relevant positioning, stalking as a population inside of a building, very deranged behavior for which they're going to be both mentally assessed and criminally prosecuted. That's what's relevant regarding the airport stalking at Starbucks and the city of Ontario, that population maintaining what is corrupt business while they're gang stalking, all in furtherance of murder. They're doing so while that entity is keeping a fake sun, which is distinct It is not over the entrance of the OVITT Family Community Library like it is when I'm at the venue and all the demons are lined up at the entrance where that Ontario Police Department is stalking by helicopter while Gregory opens the front door. Gregory that is mentally ill and is engaged in psychopathic pacing, just like his co-defendant, Alexander, just like his co-defendants that are pacing in and out of that administration door. They're all going to be federally prosecuted. And this is speaking to what is their need for a federal prosecution, okay? It's the entity that's engaging in that, however, is engaging in that with regard to the evidence of stalking as a population, as an entity, under things like a fake son, the direct evidence of mental illness. License plate 6 Edward Larry George 154. 9 Larry Indiana Jerry 123. In case I didn't read that one already, I might have. Gang stalking on the roads and the highways. License 9 Edward Thomas Apple 393. And these are the demons that are stalking as a population at nightfall, engaging in sexual assault and battery while they all obsess over me and stalk me as a population, a mentally ill one, while they're stalking with impossible light that is not the product of their headlights, while they're stalking in the path on the roads and the highways as the same exact pattern of conduct at nightfall. It's also impossible light activity. It's the same sex offense committed as an entity conspiring murder while a fake son remains over me in the presence of the demon-possessed that are stalking obsessively. License plate 11948 Zebra 3. All right, license plate 9 Bob Thomas 014. This is while the fake son is remaining over me on what is Euclid Avenue at 507 North Euclid Avenue, where I'm crossing the street. And you're mindful of every day that I've already documented the fake son where Leonida Builders Incorporated is gang stalking at that ARCO, where the entity is maintaining ongoing gang stalking by the Ontario International Airport, doing so at 7 in the morning. It's 10:10 in the morning where I'm documenting the fake son over me as I am crossing the street headed toward the OVITT Family Community Library, where the evidence is already showing that the entity has the fake son where Benjamin is gang stalking yesterday at 9 o'clock, and the fake son is over me at that OVITT Family Community Library. Benjamin and everybody else sharing in this mental illness is going to be federally prosecuted, and those engaging in what is terrorism, they will be subject to federal prison as they engage in kidnapping, as they engage in criminal summoning, as they engage in what is the entity that is targeting with the impunity that the demons and the terrorists inside of the OVITT Family Community Library share. Systematic targeting for years, for example, it's federal prison. Okay, very simple formula, and it's also very simple to identify their mental illness while they're stalking in a whole fake environment. This is also relevant regarding what is their ongoing fake existence regarding being absurdly psychopathic and seeking to present as sane. And no one is mistaking the demon-possessed for being sane or law-abiding citizens. They are exposed as gang stalkers who are mentally ill, violent sex offenders, predators, and enemies of this country while they're engaging in criminal surveillance with the government in the shoes of the government. And that's what the gang stalkers at OVITT Family Community Library, who are not under any natural environment while they maintain what is a harassing and terrorizing environment while they keep my vagina together as a population under surveillance in concert with the people of the state. All right, and that's what's relevant regarding the license plate 9 Bob Thomas 014. All right, license 24010 Jerry 3. License 9 Jerry Thomas Sam 236, stalking on the roads and the highways. They are literally at the same intersection where the fake son's over me at 2:46 p.m. yesterday, which was November 23rd, 2025, okay, which is where L. Edwards is standing at the bus stop. You could see Chevron in the background. Chevron is nothing other than a landmark showing you how this population is mentally ill, and they're all stalking together, and their tactic. This is an idiotic system. So this is the entity that's going to be both prosecuted and humiliated with regard to what is actual mental illness that they suffer from while they, as a population of demons, do things like stalk you under a fake sun and fling light at you, and then they think that they're going to call you names like you're actually the crazy one when they are literally feces-eating stalkers, gargoyles. okay? Absurdly psychotic. While you're stalking one person together under a fake sun, you are in need of what is routine examinations, and that's the reality. That's a fact, okay? The entities engaging in this at this venue, while you're mindful of what is happening at the same time, the Ontario Police last week are stalking me by helicopter, as I remind you about Amazon Prime gang stalking, while I'm at the entrance of the same OVITT Family Community Library at 10 o'clock in the morning, where license 9JTS236 is stalking me at what is E Street in Euclid, and it's not over the entrance where the Ontario Police and Gregory are gang stalking together while he's opening the front door, and the demons that are stalking inside of the venue, like they are every day, including with the employees, are maintaining surveillance inside of the venue, sharing in mental illness, sharing in the criminal conspiracy to commit murder, sharing in what is fully exposed criminal activity. Very foolish. Even their mentally ill state is serving for what is a straightforward prosecution. Okay? And all the mentally ill can do is pace around and stalk with noise and light because they are, in fact, mentally ill. Okay? The entities engaged in this, however, and what's coexisting on the record is what Gregory's doing at the OVITT Family Community Library, where the entity is stalking me by helicopter and doing so with the people of the state at OVITT. That's already on the record, and that's how you're using all of the evidence showing how a population is demon-possessed, that is mentally ill, while they're engaging in this corrupt system together. License 8 Zebra Queen Sam 163. License 9 Uncle Sam Sam 791. License 67275 Edward 4. All right. License 8 Henry Charlie Jerry 488. At 10 o'clock, 10:11 a.m., the fake sun is over me at Chevron, while a bunch of demons are engaging in the same conduct, stalking in the path, filling up their gas tank at Chevron, while the fake sun's over me at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Yesterday at 2:46 in the afternoon, while they engage in this pattern of conduct, filling up their gas tank as though nothing is happening. They're going to be mentally assessed with that. The entities, that's not evidence. That's contrary to what the system is supposed to operate, and the system is supposed to operate in the absence of this evidence that you have, that you're all witnessing. So in the face of that evidence proving that you're a stalker, you maintain what is an unpersuasive, ongoing act as though the evidence is not there, and you're going to be diagnosed with that evidence of severe delusion and mental illness while you're engaged in criminal activity, which is also not missed or mistaken or confused while you're engaging in that. You can act like you're not gang stalking, or you can be an outright engaging in an outright admission to gang stalking. It doesn't matter. You're going to be prosecuted and mentally assessed. Okay? The fake sun speaks for itself. The entities engaging in this pattern of conduct as a society, and they're doing so while they're engaging in that criminal activity as one that is sharing in that that sickness as an entity of what are demons. And this is the threat that demons pose to the public. Okay. License plate 67275 Edward 4. This is at the Chevron. That's very heavily documented, including in targeting with the Ontario Police, targeting with the Ontario International Airport, and targeting with the terrorists who are the people of the state, whose role it is to stalk, to maintain activity while they're stalking, and maintain presence in an environment where you're not supposed to be aware, but we're all looking at the demon-possessed while they're stalking, and their whole act has been exposed. And their act is exposing severe mental illness. License plate 7 Jerry Xavier Mary 902. 9 Kelly Xavier George 623. 5468 Jerry, that's a handicap. 7 Xavier Frank 648. 7 Apple Victor Larry 866. 8 Charlie Wendy Larry 045. And this is gang stalking by the Ontario Veterinary Hospital under the fake sun, in the same manner that they are engaging in what is battery and criminal summoning as an entity that's stalking with light at nightfall. And they're stalking with light while a fake sun is over me, and they're maintaining a veterinary hospital as the malicious guys for that state pattern of conduct. They're doing so while the fake sun is over me at that venue, and it is not over the OVITT Family Community Library, while the mental illness of the demon-possessed going into a library where they don't even read. There are light-slinging gargoyles that are obsessing over my bodily fluids, obsessing over my genitalia, obsessing over all the ways in which I truthfully describe them based on their criminal conduct, which is proven as a fact, and not based on what is literally audible activity of demons that don't even have any legitimacy. You're a gargoyle. Who are you calling Crazy. Okay? Those are the demon-possessed that are going to be put in the appropriate facilities. Okay? 121 East E Street. They're gang stalking, license 7, David Victor Henry 784. This is the same condition of the demons that are Jason Fields, Tracy Banks, Eric Spencer. The entity that maintains this specific environment and feigning as though they are friends and family, they are the demon-possessed gang stalking with the population of demons that I have surrounded with evidence to prosecute them, including by science. Science doesn't need the demon-possessed to say anything. In fact, while they seek to defame, like what this demon, this gargoyle, L. Edwards, is when he's speaking of medication, while he's engaged in targeting and stalking under a fake sun and wants to be taken seriously in a uniform, that is science that's going to have him appropriately diagnosed. Okay, that's relevant to what is targeting American citizens and criminally defaming them. And why are police officers who are demons engaging in that? Because they commit kidnappings and murder. That's why. And he's going to prison for it. License 46765 Frank 3. License 9 Thomas Robert David 519. License 8 Frank Mary George 833. You will see the fake sun over the OVITT Family Community Library as of 10:18 in the morning, contrary to what I'm documenting yesterday when it should have been over the OVITT Family Community Library, and that's if you're basing the evidence on what I just captured 24 hours ago. Of course, there are years of proving that Benjamin and Gregory and Yesenia and the rest of the demons at the OVITT Family Community Library have been engaged in what is years of targeting and furtherance of murder, and this is requiring what is federal prison. Okay, but nonetheless, the entity is arriving under a fake sun that's already present at before the time that I'm arriving today, which is speaking to what is targeting by the mentally ill. Okay, the mentally ill who are frustrated and aggressive while they're keeping your genitalia under surveillance, those are the demons that are in need and will be getting mental assessment and will be treated with regard to martial law in the way in which the law requires. Okay, the entity that's engaging in terrorism as a mentally ill population, their license plates include 8 Nancy 64775, Edward George 89 Thomas 65 paper plate, license 9 Thomas Edward Larry 274. They're all under a fake sun that's over me in this same manner as I'm arriving again later at 2:46 p.m. That's what's stalking at computer station number 2, 3, and 4, beating on the desk where it's not going to vibrate my desk because they're demons. They're mentally ill. Their demonic activity is going to have them winding up sitting in facilities, routinely medicated and examined, while they're stalking and furtherance of murder the person that's here to prosecute them. That is literally impervious to any gargoyle seeking to defame them. No gargoyles are going into mental facilities. They're in no position to defame anybody's character. And that's what's sitting up stalking inside of the OVITT Family Community Library under a fake sun. Those are the demon-possessed. License 7Z Xavier Larry 296. Under the fake sun that's over the same entrance at 2:46 p.m. on video. The entities engaged in this on behalf of the mentally ill agency that includes L. Edwards, the Ontario Police Department. It is 10:19 a.m. where the evidence of what Gregory is engaging in last week with the Ontario Police that's stalking me by helicopter because they're triggered, meaning they get aggressive as psychopaths who are violent sex offenders who are stalking. When you refer to evidence that exposes them as stalkers, because that's what they are. That's exactly what they are. Okay, in fact, they're such maniacal stalkers, they're stalking your genitalia. They're stalking you with things like engineered light. That's how Looney Tune they are. They're stalking inside of buildings all together. And then they're stalking and they're hostile because you're exposing them, in fact, as stalkers. That's the demon-possessed that are going to be treated with martial law with regard to their severe mental instability that is a threat to American citizens. It is currently, by the way, while you hear that thumping noise, those are demons that are monitoring. The mentally ill are monitoring. It's 12:52 p.m. Monday, November 24, 2025. This is the entity that's engaging in that pattern of conduct. Remember the fake sun that's reflecting off of the doors of this entry of the OVITT Family Community Library? It's over me while I'm arriving at 10:19 a.m. The fake sun's reflecting off of the doors where the demon-possessed, the mentally ill, are stalking while you're looking at it reflecting off of the same entrance doors. That's, again, the demon-possessed that are engaged in what is psychopathic stalking together as a population. Alrighty, while you're stalking somebody and then seeking to overtalk them or engage in what are passive-aggressive acts of violence, those are the demons that are going into mental facilities. It is under no circumstances persuasive evidence that they are anything other than the mentally ill population stalking under things like the objects in the sky that remain over me while that mentally ill population is in fact stalking, which science is going to silence the demons. P.O.C. It's 12:50. Alrighty, the mentally ill that are engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct are doing so under the phenomenon, meaning while the sun's in a whole other place, they're all simultaneously sitting under it while they're gang stalking at the computer stations, and you see them, they're doing so with regard to what science itself would declare as impossible, okay? That's the entity that's the demon possessed that engage in that pattern of conduct. Like I said, these are the mentally ill that cannot speak in any sort of derogatory manner about a dirty toilet seat. That's how psychopathic they are, okay? This is P.O.C. A population that is stalking together is a population that's going to be prosecuted together as well. Their mental illness is literally embarrassing. They're engaged in embarrassing themselves, by the way. That's what they're all stalking under at 12:56 p.m. I'm arriving at 3 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, and they're all under that supernatural environment while you hear the talking in the background and all the noise like it's not happening, their failed act is what is going to be used to diagnose them, okay? This is P.O.C. That's malice, and it's also, again, the unintelligent demon-possessed. They're demonic spirits. They're not smart. You're not dealing with men and women, you're dealing with demons. Very highly unintelligent, and gang violence is nothing other than gang violence. It's not intelligent at all. This is the entity that is going to necessarily be embarrassed and prosecuted. This is P.O.C. at the, by the way, OVITT Family Community Library. The owner is stating I stole something. That's what you're stating?
You wanna buy or no?
Oh, you don't want to talk no more about it, Jeremy? Where's the camera of footage? Yes, I'm going to buy.
Okay.
Where's the footage of me stealing something?
$5.99.
Was it from Balbier?
$5.99.
That I bought this morning? Because I have my receipt,
I don't
German.
know what happened. I don't know what happened.
If you're accusing somebody of stealing, why are you so uncooperative when I have my receipt?
You wanna buy or no?
Yes, I am going to buy.
Buy it and go.
But you're making an accusation, and he doesn't want to talk about it because he's going to be deported for gang stalking with the Ontario police. This is Chevron that's engaging in targeting, lying and saying that I'm on camera stealing, but you don't want to show me the footage, and now you want to yell because you know that I didn't steal anything, because you know I didn't steal nothing from here.
Please, you can go.
And what country are you from? Because you're going back there.
Please,
You're going back. What you shouldn't have done is falsely accuse me and then harass me when you're gang stalking.
please, you can go.
You should have let me make my
Please, you
purchase. Just don't like it because you're being
Please, you can
documented.
go.
You're lying. Balbier
Please.
and Harry
Please.
and you are being
Please.
deported. How about that? Since you're gang stalking with
Please.
Chevron,
Please.
and then you're harassing a
Don't
customer
don't
that has
tell me
never
to
stolen.
like it.
And you know that because you're monitoring. That's federal prison while you're stalking
Don't
with the
yell.
Ontario police.
Don't yell.
No, you were just yelling right now.
yell.
Now you want to turn down because you know you're being documented,
You
Satan?
can go.
Now you want to turn down? Call the, we reserve the... You could have said that instead of falsely accusing me, you liar. You're a liar and a coward. What country are you from? Are they all cowards like you? Because you're being deported back there. You're not welcome in this country. You're gang stalking and you're making Chevron looking bad. I'm going to prosecute Chevron because of you. They're also going to be relieved from you because you've just caused them another lawsuit.
Please.
No, you're engaging. He's pointing at the sun and talking about he reserves the right. First of all, he's monitoring. He's monitoring, and I'm going to remind you about his license plate. While he knows he's being documented, the Ontario police gang stalking me with these gang stalking immigrants who are talking about footage that doesn't exist. They don't have me on camera stealing, but they are on camera gang stalking me, and the entity's doing that because they're going to prison and because they're being deported out of this country. And you need to understand that Chevron is an enemy of this country, hiring immigrants that are engaged in targeting American citizens and then falsely accusing them because I'm documenting you gang stalking me, targeting me while you've been welcomed into this country, not to engage in targeting American citizens. Is anything else, German? Because you and Balbier and Hardick, Harry, you're all engaged in criminal monitoring. Anything else? Since you don't have any footage of me stealing, you don't want to see my receipts of every purchase that I made? And the last time I came this morning, which I documented, is a purchase made, and now you get silent because there are no facts that help you. And Mike LORENZ is monitoring to this. This is the criminal conduct and the harassment that Mike Lorenz is going to be federally prosecuted for. And this is what cowards do when they're surrounded by evidence. And this is why the immigrant population that's gang stalking is also being deported out of this country. These are the casualties of corruption while you're engaged in that criminal activity. And then you're hostile because I'm documenting you harassing me. And then you want to shut up real quick. What you should have did was stop gang stalking. That's the solution. What's your owner's name? Since you're referring to your owner, what's the owner's name? Are you getting quiet now, German? What's the owner's name? You're talking about the owner, you're talking about you saw on camera, you saw this and you saw that, now you don't say nothing? Huh? Guess what? The feds have been watching you gang stalk me before now. So this isn't the time to get quiet. They've been watching you targeting me as an immigrant. They've been watching you. Anything else? Since you're referring to your owner signing off on lying while you're gang stalking in furtherance of murder?
Can you maybe refer
You should have referred to facts. You should have referred to facts and not engaging in what is harassment because you're engaging in criminal activity. Which your citizenship is going to be revoked for. You're not welcome in this country gang stalking and then harassing because you're mad because you're documented. His license plate, by the way, while he's gang stalking with the city of Ontario, he's driving the white vehicle, he's driving the black SUV. Every demon gang stalking at Chevron is molesting me with impossible light. He is a gang stalking immigrant. His license plate is 3 Nancy Edward Yolanda 006. That's the vehicle that he's operating. He was engaged in battery with the people of the state behind the Chevron the other night while they're engaging in what is stalking with impossible light. Every hour of the day, the fake sun is over this Chevron. They're looking at that evidence that I have against the entity, and I want to be clear, it's a guilty conscience. Because while you're engaging what is, and how do you know that? Because you literally made up information that I'm stealing. I'm documenting the pattern of conduct every day. I'm documenting every single second of the entity targeting me and conspiring against my life. When am I stealing? When am I? This is somebody that knows for a fact, and I want to be clear, he gets quiet when I start recording his lie, which is audible activity, with regard to what is gang stalking with the Ontario police who are terrorizing me at Chevron, for which is a basis for this immigrant to be put in prison and then deported. Just want to be clear on that. Balbeer shares in that. Balbeer is routinely targeting with the Ontario police. That's federal prison and deportation. The gang stalkers of ARCO are monitoring to that. Starbucks is monitoring while they're all under a fake sun targeting together. These are the cowards that eat feces, that are scared to death, but they're not scared enough to gang stalk you where they think they're getting away with it. These are the cowards, the light-slinging gargoyles. They are cowards that belong in prison and in mental facilities. He literally tried to use, I'm stealing. Oh, okay, well then let's challenge that. Who is your owner, or what's the owner's name that has me on video? They're lying, and not only, this is the entity that's lying and stating that I'm breaking into a building. Remember what criminal summoning is. These are the demons that engage in criminal summoning with the Ontario police. Not only are they lying, they know that they're lying. They are maliciously, in other words, lying because they're monitoring. They're demons. They know what you're doing with your hands in your pockets that they can't see. Not only that, they're monitoring with the entity that's stalking me at the venue by planes and helicopters. With the demon-possessed people of the state molesting with impossible light. Engaging what is criminal surveillance and engaging what is harassment by Chevron that I'm going to prosecute. Chevron that's engaging what is conspiring my murder with its gang stalking employees who result to defamation that I'm stealing, audible activity, I'm going to sue them and prosecute them for that while they're engaging in the pattern of conduct and they're cowards resorting to more harassment and terrorism with the intent to obstruct justice because you are going to be deported based on your criminal conspiracy and murdering somebody that prosecuted you on the internet. Remember, German is somebody that's been given a privilege to be in this country. And you're looking at what is the casualties of permitting gang stalkers, terrorists to remain in this country. He's unworthy, and the likes of this entity are unworthy to be in this country, and it's being handled. They're being deported. The federal government is watching the immigrants target me. The federal government is watching the immigrants engaging in what is impunity, engaging in what is targeting with the state. They're watching all that, and you're being deported. They're in Pomona deporting people, and they're coming back to Ontario. The city of Ontario is going to be subject to what is literally being emptied out of the terrorists in this country, like German, who belong outside of this country, by the way. That criminal activity, that ongoing targeting, because you're mad that you're a loser. This is Satan, first of all. And you're engaging in what is criminal activity. That's not the solution. That's exactly what's wrong with these psychopaths. Psychopaths engage in more violence when they engage in criminal activity. License plate. German's monitoring with all of these demons, and so is Chevron. License plate. These are the demons molesting with impossible light while I'm at the bus stop. 8THW893, 8HYR373, sex offenders monitoring.
engaging in that pattern of conduct as psychopaths, the mentally ill, engaging in surveillance inside of the OVITT Family Community Library all day long, stalking, 8TIN292, and so that's another license plate of Chevron, gang stalking at Chevron. And the entities engaging in that, this is the entity that's engaging in what is gang stalking, just like they are at Starbucks, where they're engaging in what is criminal summoning with the entity that is stalking in planes and helicopters. I just want to be clear, this is the entity that is full of cowards that are admittedly losing, and not only losing, lost. When you're engaging in what is those desperate tactics, when you're engaging in what is making up information, it's because you're scared, and it's because you are surrounded with evidence, which is not helpful. And this is the evidence of what the federal government that's watching me prosecute these idiots on the internet knows, that I didn't steal anything. And they also watch German get real quiet when I press record. These are the demons. They belong in a deported state. They belong, they deserve exactly what is happening to them. They murder American citizens. They do so with the government. They do so as enemies of this country. The enemies of this country are demon-possessed, and they're in the United States targeting with a demon-possessed government, a demon-infected entity. And they are a threat to national security. This and much worse is what happens to American citizens who are set up. Understand that demon, they engage in what is criminal summoning. Oh, now you won't leave the premises after he's accused you of stealing, with which the entity will use to kidnap you when you never stole anything in your life, child. This is the entity that's engaging in that sort of conduct. Understand how that easily escalates. And it's defamation. I'm going to prosecute Chevron for that. I'm going to prosecute them for that and much more. This is the P.O.C. This is, again, a horrible commercial reality of the immigrant population that are sharing in what is sexual violence, mental illness, criminal stalking, conspiracy to murder. P.O.C. It is currently 8:53 p.m. and that is German admittedly gang stalking me for a prolonged period of time. Balbir as well as what is Harry. These demons that are gang stalking as employees of that corrupt business Chevron that's engaging in that pattern of conduct with the demon possessed that are targeting me from across the street while German is gang stalking the entire time. Gang stalking and then also making false allegations, that's malice. And that's the entity that's engaging what is that pattern of conduct with the state. 8RNE995, license plate 9KNT624. This is the P.O.C. This is the entity that's engaging that pattern of conduct. Let me give you Balbir's license plate. And he was referring to a woman. So the only female that is gang stalking that I've documented is Balbir with the blue SUV, who's routinely engaging in that pattern of conduct. And they're doing so, and this is the entity that is fearful. The solution is not engaging with his harassment. And so since this entity doesn't understand that, that's why they're being deported. You're not going to engage in terrorizing other people because you're engaged in criminal activity that you are afraid of the consequences of. The answer is not more terrorism. That's what psychopaths, that's what the demon-possessed, the corrupt government does, though. Because the government's purpose is to get away with this criminal conduct. So people are murdered all the time, where the government is engaging in what is criminal activity. All right, license 9 Edward Frank Henry 194, that's Balbir. And also license 7 XIY 347, that is Harry. The entity engaging what is through him, second-hand hearsay, I'm making my purchase, including the receipt that I have from making my purchase this morning. And he's stating that some female told him, an employee, presumably Balbir, is talking about, you saw on camera that I stole something, and Balbir didn't say a word when I made a purchase today. Okay? This is the entity that makes up information. That's literally how it operates. This is how the entity engages in criminal defamation. This is what Jason Fields and Tracy Banks are doing in court. This is what the gang stalking medical professionals engage in. They make it up. And because of their position, because I have MD behind my name, if I say that the target individual is mentally ill and a paranoid schizophrenic, that's exactly what the entity creates as a reality. That's exactly why they're going to prison. That's literally how it is down to the facts such as being accused of being a thief in a little raggedy gas station. Okay, where the entities engage in that conduct, and I want to be clear, that's defamation. That's a very serious federal offense upon gang stalking by the state. The entity kidnaps for much less. The entity kidnaps with regard to what is absolutely made up out of thin air. while they're stalking and monitoring you. Those are the immigrants that are being deported out of this country. The mentally ill, the unstable, violent sex offenders who sit around stalking as a population, them and their demon-possessed, them and their gang-stalking immigrant children are a threat to this country, and they're being removed. And it is a matter of national security. They have demonstrated themselves how they are unworthy to remain in this country. They are unworthy. This is P.O.C. That's the entity of demons that are monitoring while they're listening to the truth about them and their demon-infected children that are equally a threat to this country. This is P.O.C. This is not hate speech. This is the reality of what the demon-possessed are and what they're doing. And they do it with little demons that aren't even 5 years old. Gang stalking. Mentally ill psychopaths. Already sex offenders. And they're not even teenagers yet. P.O.C. It's currently 8:56 p.m. All right, license plate 8MVL108. Heart, MYVEER, monitoring with the amplified noise that you hear in the background at G Street and Euclid with the government that's engaging in what is false accusations with the intent to obstruct justice, okay? That's relevant to what is defamation by the entity that's gang stalking you. The entity defames you in order to kidnap you. The entity defames you in order to, like Tracy Banks and Jason Fields in the court, and the demon-possessed people of the state like Eric Spencer, Tommy Allen, they defame you in order to steal from you, to steal your identity, to get away with criminal acts that they've already committed, which again requires a corrupt government, but nonetheless this is what Jason Fields and the entity has committed, because in their minds they thought that gang stalking was going to cover them from going to prison for criminal acts they've already committed. That's not happening, and you're also going to prison for gang stalking me in the first place. 41784B4 6JVK081 El Pescador Mexican Grill, and the bucket crab and crawfish. These demons that are monitoring on an ongoing nightly basis. These demons come from this parking lot. They drive down F Street to molest me with impossible light after they make purchases, after they get off of work, after they drive around the block. Not even a customer. You don't have to be a customer, but I'm letting you know this is where they're engaging in that, engaging with a sexual assault and battery as a demon-possessed population. That lie and make up reality. That's called groupthink. That's the demon-possessed. That's the corrupt society of terrorists, of murderers and sex offenders. 8PHZ721, 5VDP825, 8VKR937, and stalking with light, Edward Henry 30 Edward 75. That's a paper plate. And gang stalking in the bucket crab and crawfish parking lot. Stalking with light, that's the mental illness that you're seeing outside of the OVITT Family Community Library as well. Stalking, this is what they're doing inside of the OVITT Family Community Library. Stalking as a population, pacing all around all day long. 9 David 0 Edward 464. Engaging in that while the entity is stalking as a population. Everywhere that I'm going, the entity is maintaining engineered light. That's the significance of the fake sun. That is over the bucket crab and crawfish in the morning, and also setting where the bucket crab and crawfish is located. Where the entity engages in what is battery, that's what the bucket crab and crawfish committed. Every gang stalking employee and every gang stalking patron that act as one entity share in that. While I'm at one venue and I'm documenting that, this entire venue shared in that violence together, and they engage in defamation just like this gang stalking immigrant German is doing so, speaking as the state. All right, this is relevant to what is disbanding terrorists and those facilitating terrorism, like Mike Lorenz and that agency that's gang stalking, equally demon-possessed, equally mentally ill weirdos that are obsessed with my vagina and making up things such as I'm stealing, and they wish that I gave them that much attention. Please. 6TVN509. Chevron is a raggedy, I would say poorly inventoried establishment that's engaged in what is gang stalking. Their products are out. They're old, moldy, old salad and fruit. They don't even I typically am buying what is beverages. I'm just going to be honest now. You're talking about I'm stealing from you. Stealing what? Your moldy grapes? What are you talking about, Satan? This is somebody that's coming up with anything because they're fearful of me being there. First of all, documenting them, and also because they're hostile. My evidence is damning to Chevron. It is damning to immigrants like Balbir and Harry and German. 73015E4. And guess what? That doesn't make the evidence go away. Now I'm going to detail more of it, and you're mindful of what is a fake sun over Chevron at 7 in the morning, at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, at 2:46 in the afternoon, at 6:45 in the evening, and after 7 p.m. while it's shining through the drive-through window of Starbucks, which is across the street from Starbucks. From Chevron. License 9MFJ867, 8Y 9HH103, 8ZJZ529, 9BHD956, and the gang stalking immigrants are subject to federal prison. All right, the entities engaged in criminal summoning at that Chevron and ARCO, as I'm documenting the Ontario Police. The entities engaged in what is criminal summoning by the Ontario Fire Department and American Medical Response. The entities engaged in criminal summoning this morning with L. Edwards, who's in relevant position to these demons, including Balbier, who I documented this morning. That's federal prison right there. The entity, the whole block is monitoring me while L. Edwards, a mentally ill psychopath, is under a fake sun that is still over me in the evening. That's federal prison right there. 9DTP602, while you're engaging what is harassing me and you're going to prison for it. 8YDM991, you're going to federal prison for it. And they're stalking now as a demon-possessed airport that's flying up and down Euclid Avenue. As I'm walking north, there are no planes departing from the airport, flying west over Euclid Avenue and G Street. None, not one. And Chevron's employees, the gang stalking immigrants, are subject to prison. It's a full, comprehensive body of evidence surrounding targeting me, including tonight defaming my character as though I'm going to steal anything, let alone anything from this raggedy Chevron that can't even keep its inventory properly stocked. Which is why they have things like hairy, moldy grapes, okay? 8LDF579. And it's pathetic. That's why they don't say anything when I'm making a purchase. Didn't want to see my receipts? It's pathetic. It's pathetic. But that's what you come up with. You're going to prison. How about that? That's your prize. You're going to prison. Where immigrants, gang stalking immigrants belong, in federal prison. That's exactly where they belong. And then they belong on the next thing smoking out of this country. And let the Department of Homeland Security figure out how they want to get rid of these immigrants. Leave that to them within their discretion. Don't criticize them for how they're getting rid of terrorists that are going to murder you and serve to kidnap you. Let them get rid of these immigrants in whatever way that they find most effective. They don't belong in this country. It's happening and it needs to happen. It's justice. P.O.C. It's currently, by the way, 9:03 p.m. where German is still gang stalking. While I'm not there, just like Ocean and Amelia and Patty of the Starbucks, they've been gang stalking nonstop since July 4, 2025. They're going to prison. They're going to federal prison. They surrounded themselves with that evidence. They're going to federal prison. These geniuses who win federal time in prison, and that's substantial time in prison. You're not spending 12 hours in prison. You're not spending 6 months in prison. P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, the entities engaging in that pattern of conduct, that was the entity seeking to exclude from the venue when you have been overwhelmed and bullied with evidence of your own criminal activity. That's what the inferiority breeds. A whole bunch of demons together stalking me. They're inferior. They're light-slinging gargoyles, vagina monitors. They're inferior. It's pathetic. You're stalking me as a whole airline company. You're inferior. And I'm going to prosecute you in court for it. How about that? How about that? That airline company is never going to be the same. And the demons stalking in the planes are going to prison. License plate 5MLJ827, 9RME370, and Tracy Banks is going to federal prison. This demon that's engaged in what is sexual activity with all manner of the population that's stalking me is going to federal prison for it. Go ahead. Go right on ahead. License AS443, handicap, stalking in the path, molesting. That's a demon, a male with wearing glasses, driving in the middle of the street when I'm clearly in the having the right of way, engaging in that for purposes of molestation, stalking with light. Doing so with these demons inside of the parking lot. Stalking in the parking lot is the Ontario International Airport. I've already documented that. Coming from Pizza Hut, that's engaging what is gang stalking with its employees at 715 North Euclid Avenue. Just like they are gang stalking at the Chevron. Okay, while those demons are acting like they're landing right there at the Chevron in the parking lot. All right, those are the demons that are engaging what is defamatory audible activity. I'm stealing. That's the best that demon could come up with. 8AKV486, 9CJM988. And it speaks volumes, the fact that this demon gets quiet when I press record. But that's typically what's happening, because you know what it's going to be in federal court? It's going to be silence. It's also going to be silence. 9AJD995.
it's going to be silence. And you have a laundry list of demons that are going to federal prison, and they're going to be carted off in silence. 9HTU007, P.O.C. 715 North Euclid Avenue, targeting me, Pizza Hut. Doing so with the Ontario International Airport that is stalking en route to this venue as well. So you already know what Pizza Hut is engaging in. This is P.O.C. It's currently 9:06 p.m. Alrighty, license 9 Henry Thomas Uncle 007, molesting with light inside of the 715 North Euclid Avenue Pizza Hut. Pizza Hut is gang stalking with that third party. They're conspiring murder together, gang stalking together with the government. P.O.C. Alrighty, it is 9:19 p.m. and I have placed an order with Pizza Hut. That is a third party. And I ordered with Pizza Hut not last night, but the night before last night. And I will document that not only is this entity gang stalking, which is already a threat to your safety, the entity that is gang stalking is doing so in furtherance of murder. So the entity that is engaging in that, not only engaging in what is bearing false witness, not only engaging in what is defaming your character in order to kidnap you, also in order to harass you, falsely depict your character, render any reports that you would make, any documentation as illegitimate. None of that's going to work, but this is exposing your tactics. Pizza Hut is gang stalking and is doing so, and I want to make sure that I document that upon my purchase of food where I am being targeted by the state in furtherance of murder, feeling what is abnormal after consuming food prepared by Pizza Hut, a third party. So I am ordering food today, and Pizza Hut is going to be subject to what is conspiracy to murder. And the entities engaging in that while I maintain very close attention to my diet, what it is that I consume, and what I clearly do not consume, which is any drugs, no alcohol. So the entity that's engaging in what is gang stalking is the entity that's also guilty of tampering with food, and anything and everything I document, and you will be subject to federal prison. I just want to be clear on that. And the entity is engaging in this while they are threatening your life, while the entity is gang stalking through everyone, everywhere, at all times, and it includes where you buy your food. So I want to make sure that that's clear. This is the case, what was 48 hours ago, and I am at Pizza Hut where they are engaged in targeting and the preparation of food, which is also relevant to as an ongoing threat to my life. So I want to make sure I put it on the record. What was the experience after I consumed food and woke up the next morning? And also where I am at Pizza Hut, and Pizza Hut is engaged in what is gang stalking and furtherance of murder, and they are in the business of preparing food. This is relevant to my prosecution in Pizza Hut. It is currently 9:21 p.m. I want to make sure that that is clear. This is P.O.C. at 715 North Euclid Avenue. Just want to see, German is gang stalking as an immigrant with the government. That's stalking me with the immigrant population who are mentally ill. That's what this Impossible Light shows. And it shows the complicit engagement in state surveillance and furtherance of murder by the immigrants who are a threat to the public. They're a threat to national security. So are their demon-possessed children who are gang stalking in California. German is over there lying on my character and gang stalking me and furtherance of murder at the same time. That population, which is what he represents, the immigrant status of the people of the state that are engaging in criminal surveillance and furtherance of murder with the demon-possessed psychopaths who are stalking me in planes and helicopters, and they're being deported. This is the prosecution of Chevron, which is defaming me. Chevron is monitoring me. Chevron's customers are demons gang stalking me, and Chevron's employees are demons gang stalking me, targeting me because they are engaging in what is obstruction of justice. That's what's relevant. And that's what's probative regarding stalking as the Ontario International Airport over Chevron in relevant position to me in what is Impossible Light, where your headlights aren't reaching over here in the corner. These are the demons that are obsessed with my vagina, wants to sit where I sleep, gang stalking with the state. They're obsessed with my vagina as well. This is the same with the immigrant population. Demons gang stalking at a bus stop. That's how pathetic they are. This is what L. Edwards was doing this morning, stalking me. P.O.C. The mentally ill population are being deported, and they are never in any position to speak in any derogatory manner about anybody's character when they have the mental illness of a a dirty toilet. Let's put it that way. That's how unwell they are while they're demons gang stalking. P.O.C. They are justly being deported out of this country. It is currently 9:53 p.m. All right. Again, the stalking that L. Edwards is engaging in this morning. This is demon possession. This is stalking with light, mentally ill behavior that L. Edwards suffers from, Mike Lorenz suffers from, demons that are acting in concert. Mentally ill stalking 24 hours a day and night. The demon-possessed children of the people of the state, and demons that are, again, related to demons like Mike Lorenz, demons that are related to the gang stalking people of the state that are engaging in this terrorism. They share that mental illness. The stalking in the path with light, presence in the path with light, while the entity is stalking using planes and helicopters. This is what the gang stalking immigrants like German at 506 North Euclid Avenue are sharing in. Doing so with the mentally ill like L. Edwards, who likes to recite things such as referring to medication, when in fact, this demon, this gargoyle that's wearing a police uniform that he is unfit to wear, he doesn't even represent what law enforcement symbolizes. While he is a light-slinging gargoyle stalking me and stalking my vagina, who was actually in need of medication, stalking with impossible light, mentally ill behavior shared by the demon-possessed that are the Ontario police and the demon-possessed gang stalkers with whom they're conspiring murder. And that criminal system has been fully exposed, exploded all over the internet. And they're stalking in helicopters. You know why? Because L. Edwards and everybody else on the Ontario police and these demons that are obsessed with my vagina, stalking me 24 hours a day, stalking on the side of the road, that's another iteration of stalking with light, mentally ill behavior. Why are you stalking me? Why don't you go monitor your mother? These are the demon possessed that have no lives. They're engaged in what is monitoring. They're the demon possessed. They don't have their own business. They don't have their own life. I am their entire purpose for everything that they're doing. Mentally ill behavior. They're the ones that resort to criminal defamation when they cannot talk poorly about a dirty, feces-covered toilet seat, because that's how sick their minds are. They're engaged in that pattern of conduct together. The mental illness is shared by Mike Lorenz. It's shared by L. Edwards, gang stalking me, and then having the audacity to refer to medication that those demons need. They're the ones that need medication, but they're going to be deported. Deportation is a solution for the mentally ill. Okay? Gang stalking, criminals that are engaging in this conduct, federal prison is a solution for this mentally ill behavior. Disbanding and martial law are the solutions for this mentally ill behavior. Stalking by helicopter, the solution is martial law. This is the mentally ill population that are terrorists. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:27 p.m.